macro Crest, where we focus on fundamentals for our directional bias and technicals for our entries. And what we had last week was interesting. Although the NFP, which is always on Friday, came up on Thursday due to the fact that July 4th was a holiday, and that was their independence in the US. And you know, the US has the biggest share in the market, so the market was dull. There was no volatility that much. So what we have here is the NFP. What we had a very beautiful NFP data. Let me pick black. Yes, we had a beautiful NFP data. This is at 147,000, below what the market was pricing in. Better than what the market was pricing in, and the market came out better than last revised data. The labor data also, the market was expecting a 4.3, but it came in at 4.1, still better than previous. Now, if you look at this average hourly earnings, that's the only bad data that came out. But due to the fact that these two data, this other data has overshadowed the bad data, so the market is saying the labor data is resilient. Now, we also had CPI from the franc, a very solid one. So they are bullish. The Swiss franc is bullish, the dollar is bullish. Now I want to show you something also. So this is the COT report, and just a quick one. The market has this. So a little look is, this is COT index. 100% is showing bullish, and 0, that's the red area, is the bearish territory. And each time the market heads into this area, you'd see we will have a drop. Each time we head into this area and we are there, we have a drop, but it's more than that, okay? And the market came in here and we had this drop, so we had a bullish move from here. So I was expecting a bullish momentum from here, but unfortunately the market still went down because there was no trigger on the macro perspective, in the macro area. Now, looking at this, the red signifies commercials, and they've been entirely bearish on the dollar for the past couple of years. And this is, although yes, they came up here at the first time to be bulls, okay, that's why this market pushed to the upside. They came in as bulls then, and now they came in also in April, but there was no good momentum. If you can see, if you see this, the open interest has been flat in a sense. So if they have switched bullish, it means dollar structurally should be bullish because the commercials are in charge of everything. So we'll get to the chart and we'll see what I'm saying. So that is by the way. We will get to the chart now. A little review of what I'm looking out for, a little summary. I like using my chat GPT, so a second, give me a second. Alright, so what we have here is, if you look at this information, everything we have here for the dollar is solid. The labor data, solid. GDP, growth momentum is the ISM, that's the leading indicators, is less than 50, okay, so it means it is cautious. Inflation risk, which is the most important one, and the labor data. Services prices still firm, the labor market persists, so we are still bullish on that. Interest rate expectations, the market is expecting a push of, is expecting cuts. So now the labor data came out on Friday and it's better than expected, so it pushed back rate cuts. The market was expecting a a rate cut this July, but now the market is pushing it to next quarter, not July anymore. So that's bullish for the dollar. Trade deficit, okay, it's bearish, but with all this, the only bearish information we have is on the trade account. The central bank tone is restrictive. They are restrictive. Definitely they are not dovish. The yields rose post data pricing out near-term cuts, so the dollar is actually bullish. And with that, you could see that the verdict we have is entirely bullish. If you look at COT positionings, everything is bullish, and for this reason I'm entirely bullish on the dollar. We go to the chart. I want to show you something a little bit. So using our weekly time frame, let's work with our weekly time frame. If you remember, in the first net positionings here, it was telling us that from 2022 to 20 currently, this commercials are bearish on the dollar. Okay, they only got a little bit bullish from this, but now they are entirely bullish here, so it means that we have a full-time reversal. And for that reason, if you get to the chart, this is what I'm looking out for. If we are looking at an entire reversal on the dollar, what we would see is, if this is a lower low, this is a lower high, and potentially we have this, so it means I'm expecting longs all the way to take out this high here. Now that's what I'm looking at for long term, okay? But it's I'm not a position trader. I'm a swing trader, just a couple of days to weeks. And what I have here is very, very simple. The labor data is clean. We go to our daily time frame. Has given us the labor data has given us a reason to start looking for longs on the dollar. Now this is very clear that we have this as a lower low and a lower high. This, on this leg, we have lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So this is a lower low, and we're looking for a lower high. Very, very clear. That's what we are looking out for, and we have to start looking at longs to that point. Clearly, that is what I'm looking out for. You go to your 4 hours time frame to look at this, and we have fantastic structure here. Lower low, sorry, we have a lower low, we have a lower high, we have a lower low, we have a lower high. So this is an area I could potentially say is a lower low to create a lower high. But the first question is, where is your target on a lower high? The very first target. I don't know about you guys, but I have my own technique, and if you look at it from your weekly time frame, there is a weekly drop, basic drop, that is here, very clear. So I'll use the line. So this is the area. You go to your 4 hours is to look out for a supply. So that's the very first point I'll look out for short target. But the main point is up here. Why is that? Because of there is an imbalance here. If you see this, there is this imbalance here. So I expect the market to push higher. To this point, probably pull back, and if it pushes up to on the lower time frame, then I will long it to this point. But now I'm more bullish on this. Now the only reason why I'll be looking for a very big long-term push to the upside. Remember, so if we squeeze this chart this way, we have our lower low, we have our lower high, and then we have our lower low. Okay, so if this guy breaks this, the potential of price pushing higher is there. It's just that clear. But for now, we work with what we see on the short term. We work with the short term, so all this is just there. All right, now if we have this, the next thing is to identify. We know dollar is strong, we know the yen is weak, we know the Swiss is kind of strong. So if you go to your chart, the first pair you would want to compare it with is Euro USD, as everybody looks at it that way. The first thing is the Euro USD, and is equivalently what we've just analyzed. Look at this. We have our lower higher high, we have our higher low, of course. So this, can we say this is a higher high? Yes, we can continue saying it's a higher high. Why? Because we already have structure going to the upside. So the next thing we are expecting is a push down here. But is this push down here going to just continue, or is just gonna start switching to the downside? Remember, this is our last range, but then it is too far away, or it's too early to say okay, we now have a full reversal on the dollar, on the Euro USD. And if you look at GBP USD, let's look at the GBP USD. Sorry. It's the same thing. So I've been shouting GBP USD. So I'm expecting a push down, but the range is not enough. So you'll be looking at your lower time frame for that. But then if you look at your NZD USD, you have a very beautiful long range here. So you can swing for a day or two depending on how your entry, what entry you've had. So I'm looking at the push down here. Why? Because we already have this breakout structure. We have lower low, we have lower high. So this is still what I'm expecting the markets to do. But you know, the market might just want to grab liquidity, but it will still have to drop to this point. That's what I'm looking out for. You could also look out for USD card. Why am I looking at the card? Because the card is already a weak pair. So this short, I remember I gave out this short last week. I don't know who took it. I was not on this position because of it was a busy week. Now let's take a look at this. This is and we say this is a higher high, and this is a higher low. Let's just assume that, and then we have this as a higher high. So this is a higher low, support, resistance, demand area. All right. Now the dollar is strong, no doubt. The dollar is strong. If we look at it from the daily time frame, okay, if we look at this from a daily time frame, so we are bearish on the weekly. On the daily, how do we analyze this? Can we say this is a lower low, this is a lower high? Beautiful. Is this a lower low? Yes. Now this was the range of this time frame. Now you could read the structure like that, and then we have this breakout structure. Perfect. So this is a demand area. We are looking to long, and for this reason this would be a great setup, perfect setup. Now this, remember, is our range. So we have this range. So if that's the range, now this supply has been mitigated. That's been mitigated. So there is an imbalance here in this range. So I'm expecting, if we have this breakout structure, then we know that this blue line is our second target, because this would be our first target, and then you take price to that point before we might potentially see a change, and then we push price to the upside. That is what we are looking out for the USD card, and it's the same equivalent to USD Swiss and the yen. Now, why am I focused on this Swiss? Remember, the Swiss is strong already. It's a strong pair, but I'm already in this position. Now, it's a strong pair, but I just like the structure. Alright, we have our lower low. Oh, sorry. Lower low. We have lower high. Now, this is a lower low. Potential of price pushing higher to at least this supply is there. So that's some good range for us. If that's a range, you can see that on your 4 hours. What do we have? This is very clear on the daily, on the 4 hours and the daily. Look at, this was the structure. This is this. So this is the supply that broke this structure, and this is a D1 drop base drop. So it is just there. I'm looking at it as liquidity. So this should be my first target. Before potentially you might see a drop, grabbing liquidity to continue to the upside. So now that's just my focus on the dollar pairs. You can see the USD JPY. I gave this as a signal. Okay, so let's take a look at just a quick one. If this is a breakout structure to the downside, okay, but then we have a higher high, a higher high. So this is the range we are working with, and price did not break this structure to the downside to continue the previous structure. Okay, so if that's the case, we now have a breakout structure here. So this is powerful demand. So I'm expecting price to push. First target is this little supply here. That's for USD JPY. Now this would, in terms of macro perspective, the USD CAD and USD JPY will fit in very well, and the NZD USD, which this week I think we are looking at. The next week we'll be looking at weakness. Aussie, they are looking to cut their interest rate. Okay, I think NZD too. So with that's what I'll be focused on in terms of the dollar, and other pairs that we'll be looking at based on the yen weakness. You can look at the Swiss yen and the CAD yen. And what I'm looking out for here is we are already bullish on the weekly, so we could look at a 4 hours breakout structure. The structure we have here is bullish, and this was a perfect trade last week, which I gave also out. So now I'm expecting maybe a push to the upside. So that's what I'll be looking out for. In terms of the Swiss, in terms of CAD yen, it's not my favorite, but because of the way structure is. But if we call this structure, this is a higher high, this is our higher low, so this is the range, and it just broke structure here. So potentially we might see this, but if this is a downtrend, okay, based on it broke this structure, then we might see a little push before we had a breakout structure, and then we continue. But it's not my best. I'll prefer GJ. So GJ, why am I preferring GJ is because this structure is very, very clear. It's more than clear. So we have a range, we have a break. I'm expecting a push to this point, and then we can long. So that's what I'm looking out for USD JBP JPY. Euro JPY is also nice. And then we looking at, because based on card weakness, I've been looking out for longs on Euro card, but I don't like the fact that I have this breakout structure and it doesn't look like a liquidity grab. But I would look for longs, right, if it continues. But if it breaks to the downside, okay, I'll be looking for longs in this area. That's what I'll be looking out for longs in Euro card. But then we have Euro NZD. Fantastic. Looking at this, technically we are bullish on this time frame. Euro is still better than NZD in terms of macros. So looking at the 4 hours market structure, look at this. So it has been going to the upside. So we have this high, we have low, we have high, which I said we would see longs from here to the upside. Okay, but then I was expecting probably a push down here before we could long. But then it's not too clear as to why it is giving us this careless range. For such reason, if we have one more push to push, then I will look for longs, because it will make a whole lot of sense if we could see a rally best rally on the daily time frame. Yes, but for now, this would stay clear for now. Then I'll focus on the pound GBP AUD. Now let's take a look at this. The reason why I'm looking at this is fundamentally and technically. So we have a breakout structure. Price is reacting from this demand. I'm expecting a push here. If I say my H1, I'll be longing from there. I'll just pick it. My first target would be the high there at 2.11 area. Then we can focus on the pound card and pound yen. So this pound card, this is what I'm looking out for. It is very clear. It is just very clear. We have our longs, higher high, higher low, higher high. I'm looking for higher low. If this is the case, then we can look at the 4 hours. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is our higher high, and potentially we're looking for a higher low. So the reason why I'm focused here is because of this demand. Now this is an internal structure. Should I see a warm break push, I might get in and then follow it up. But should it break here one more time, then break structure, that would be fantastic. So be focused on that, and then we look at the pound NZD. We've already looked at the pound yen. Now look at this. Look at this. This is a beauty. We had this breakout structure. Sorry about the drawings. This for it. I had a class. So if we could have a break here, if we could have a break, just a little, just as you've seen this line, a little break coming back, I will long it. First target is this point. That is 2.28 area. So basically that's what I'm looking out for next week. Okay, finally, for those that trade gold, gold is not in the right senses. I prefer silver, and I've been in a silver position already. Look at this. I told you guys last week I'm expecting a break. I was looking at breakout structure. Now why are we looking for longs in gold? Is because tariffs is on Monday. I think it's the final time for the tariff, and then they will start another form of negotiation if they will. So a lot of money would would go into safe havens, because the market, the investors don't know what the market should be, what they should be expecting from the market. Okay, this is a breakout structure already, so we might see a push here, right? But if price could come lower, then I will look for lower time frame longs. It will be perfect for me. That's what I'm looking out for in gold. But silver is already a different case. Okay, looking at it from the weekly, I was looking at the push to the downside a little bit because of that breakout structure, but I already made mention of the potential of price pushing to the upside, right? if you see this is already a liquidity grab. This was a liquidity grab, and price is reacting from nowhere. So we had a breakout structure. I said we might see a push down. Then if we see a change here, then I will start looking for longs again. Okay, so this is the 4 hours time frame, right? If you go to your 15 minutes time frame, you would see where I saw this. It was beautiful. So look at this. It was very, very clear. We had this low, then we had this lower low. We had a breakout structure, so it was the last point. Then we had the break, and then we had this pullback, and then we had this long. Sorry, we had that long, and this was a perfect entry to continue. So this was already a very good trade for me for last week, and that's all I have for now. Do have a safe trading week. All right, sorry it is very long.